The antique shop on the corner of Willow Street was a relic of forgotten times, its windows clouded with dust and its shelves cluttered with oddities no one seemed to want. Clara, a college student with a penchant for the peculiar, wandered in one rainy afternoon, drawn by the promise of something unique for her new apartment. The air inside was thick with the scent of mildew and old wood, and the faint ticking of a grandfather clock echoed in the dim light. Behind a pile of tarnished silverware, Clara's eyes landed on a porcelain doll. It was small, no taller than her forearm, with a cracked ivory face and glassy blue eyes that seemed to follow her. Its dress, a faded blue lace, was frayed at the edges, and its blonde curls were matted with age. The tag read Amelia, $10. Clara couldn't explain why, but she felt an urge to take it home. The shopkeeper, an old man with trembling hands, didn't meet her eyes as he wrapped the doll in brown paper. "Be careful with that one," he muttered, his voice barely audible. Clara shrugged it off as eccentricity and left with her prize. Back at her apartment, Clara placed Amelia on a shelf above her desk. The doll's stare was unsettling, but she convinced herself it was just her imagination. That night, as rain battered the windows, Clara woke to a soft sound, a whisper like silk brushing against silk. She sat up, heart pounding, but the room was still. Amelia sat on the shelf, her head tilted slightly as if listening. Clara chalked it up to a dream and went back to sleep, though unease lingered. The next day, strange things began. Clara's keys vanished, only to reappear inside a locked drawer. Her laptop froze, displaying a grainy image of a child's hand before crashing. At night, the whispers returned, clearer now, forming words she couldn't quite catch. "Amelia," she whispered to herself, staring at the doll. Its eyes seemed brighter, almost glowing in the moonlight. She moved it to a closet, hoping distance would quiet her nerves, but the whispers followed. They grew louder each night, a child's voice chanting, "Play with me, Clara. Don't leave me alone." Clara's dreams filled with images of a dark room, a girl in a blue dress sobbing, and hands reaching from shadows. She stopped sleeping, her grades slipping as exhaustion took hold. She tried throwing Amelia away, but the next morning, the doll was back on the shelf, its cracked face smiling. Desperate, Clara researched the doll's origins. She found a forum post about a doll named Amelia, linked to a fire in a Victorian orphanage a century ago. A girl named Amelia had died clutching a porcelain doll, her only possession. Locals claimed the doll carried her grief, trapping her spirit. Clara scoffed at the supernatural, but couldn't ignore the coincidences. She visited the antique shop again, only to find it boarded up, the sign gone. That night, the whispers turned to screams. Clara woke to find Amelia at the foot of her bed, her porcelain hands stained red. The room smelled of smoke, though no fire burned. Clara grabbed the doll and ran to the kitchen, stuffing it into a trash bag. As she tied it shut, the bag thrashed, and a voice wailed, "You can't leave me!" Terrified, Clara drove to a nearby bridge and hurled the bag into the river below. The water swallowed it, and silence followed. For a week, Clara thought it was over. The whispers stopped, and her life seemed to stabilize. But on the 8th night, she woke to a familiar sound, silk brushing silk. Her heart sank as she turned on the light. There on the shelf sat Amelia, dripping wet, her blue eyes locked on Clara's. The doll's cracked lips parted, and a voice, no longer a whisper, filled the room. "You promised to play." Clara's scream echoed through the apartment, but no one came. The next morning, her neighbor found the door ajar, the apartment empty. Clara's belongings were untouched except for the shelf where Amelia sat alone, her dress pristine, her eyes gleaming. The neighbors swore she heard a faint giggle as she fled. Years later, the doll reappeared in another antique shop, its tag reading, Amelia, $10. A new buyer, charmed by its delicate face, took it home, unaware of the whispers waiting in the dark.